Hello everybody, in today's video we're going to be going over some severe weather which is going to be impacting the eastern half of the country. It's going to start up in parts of the Midwest and Great Lakes for today, and then by tomorrow it'll be into the Ohio Valley and Tennessee Valley, and then along the East Coast for Tuesdays when we're going to be dealing with that severe weather. We have some warmer conditions on the back end of this severe weather, so it will be a little bit more of a pleasant pattern after this batch of severe weather goes by. We're going to be timing this out for you guys and giving you all the information you need to know, so make sure you are staying tuned all the way until the end. Here's what the current National Weather Service page looks like. As you can see, we have some excessive heat warnings in effect for much of the Southwest and also into a little bit of Texas. We have some heat advisories in that orange color in parts of the western United States as well. And then scattered throughout parts of the central Rockies, we have some red flag warnings for some fire danger in those areas. We have wind advisories over parts of Missouri, Kentucky, Illinois, and Indiana, as well as a small area of heat advisories in parts of Missouri and Illinois as well. And then we have flood watches in effect for the Carolinas, Georgia, and a little bit of Alabama, as well as some tornado watch in effect for parts of southwestern Georgia, southeastern Alabama, in the panhandle of Florida, and that's from what's remaining of Tropical Depression Claudette, which is currently in parts of Georgia, and it's about to make its way further to the east into the Carolinas, and eventually it'll move offshore from there. Yesterday we had a high temperature of 125 degrees in Death Valley, California, with a low temperature of 28 degrees, 14 miles west-southwest of McKay, Idaho. Nikkei, Mississippi got 9.08 inches of rainfall, which is the highest rainfall report yesterday, and there were no snowfall reports yesterday as well. Here's what the current Storm Prediction Center page looks like for your day one outlook. You can see that we have two pockets of slight risk. We have one along the southeast coast, and that's from Tropical Depression Claudette, and then we have another area of slight and enhanced risk for much of the lower Great Lakes and also into parts of the Midwest and Northern Plains. So that's the area where we're expecting most of the severe weather for today, and the most enhanced risk area is going, or the highest risk of severe weather is going to be in the enhanced risk, which goes from Iowa all the way until Ohio and Michigan. So a fairly wide area of enhanced risk for today. If we look at for tomorrow, you can see that that slight risk is now into parts of the Northeast and Ohio Valley, and then we have a wide area of just marginal risk, which goes all the way from Texas, and that goes all the way up into Maine and New Hampshire. So really fairly long area of marginal risk for tomorrow. And then if we look at for Tuesday, you can see that we have a marginal risk which kind of just is right along the southeast and mid-Atlantic coast there, where we have that marginal risk, and that would be for Tuesday. So looking at how this is actually going to play out on the radar, you can see that we're starting off with a batch of storms tonight in parts of Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, and this batch of storms is going to really develop, especially as it heads into areas like northern Illinois, northern Indiana, and southern Michigan, and you're going to see that play out. So this would be around 7 p.m. tonight Central Time. You can see that we still have these storms popping off in parts of Iowa, Wisconsin, Illinois, even into parts of Michigan and Ohio as well. They are fairly isolated at this point, but they will become more widespread as we head into the late evening hours tonight. So this is around 10 or 11 o'clock Central Time, and you're dealing with still some of these storms into parts of Missouri and Illinois, as well as another batch into Wisconsin and Michigan. And these are just going to continue to head further and further to the east. Eventually, they will break apart, although we will get another band of storms to form on Monday, and that'll just kind of continue the cycle over the next couple of days. Here to be by 1 a.m. Central Time, and you can see that we still have some of these storms into parts of northern Michigan, as well as southern Illinois and central Missouri. Continuing this forward, you can see that that line of storms sweeps across to the east, mainly just a plain rain by this point because it doesn't have any more energy left. Then it's going to kind of break apart, and now by Monday afternoon, we're going to get our next batch of storms. So you see all that rain out in Missouri. This is going to become our next area of severe weather. So still just plain rain in many of these areas. And now this would be by around 9 or 10 in the morning on Monday. You can see that we have, or this is actually be right around 11 or 12 in the afternoon. So we're still dealing with some of these storms rolling through parts of Kentucky and Missouri. So now we have that line of storms at least starting to get developed. It'll strengthen a little bit more, and you can see we have back-to-back lines by this point. So we have one line down here. We have our next line in the northeast, and then we have one more line in through here, and you could even count this as another line of severe weather. So we have multiple lines. We have basically two parts of the system, the area in the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, as well as into the Mississippi River Valley, and then we have our next batch, which is up into the northeastern states like Pennsylvania and New York, with our other batches of severe weather. So playing this forward a little bit more, you can see that by Monday evening, we're still dealing with storms, especially in through the northeast, where we have that highest chance for tomorrow, where we have that slight risk of severe weather. And then you can see mainly just a plain rain mixed in with maybe a little bit of thunder and lightning further to the south, but again, nothing that looks too impactful in these areas. And then playing this forward a little bit more into Kentucky, Tennessee, also even down into areas like Mississippi and Alabama, we're dealing with severe weather. And now we're crossing over into Tuesday. So by Tuesday, we're gonna keep the same batch of storms going, and it'll just move into the East Coast. That area does have a little bit of an elevated area of dew points, Cape values, and high temperatures. So all of that coming together is gonna allow these storms to strengthen a little bit more as they cross over the Appalachians. So you can see nothing too impressive, mainly just a little bit of rain in these areas. That's why we only have a marginal risk of severe weather out for Tuesday. I'm not too impressed with the threat on Tuesday. It was looking more impressive yesterday, although of course things could still change. We're still 3 days out, or 2 or 3 days out from this severe weather event in the East Coast area. So of course it still could change in many of these spots. If you look at the total rainfall over the next 3 days going through Tuesday evening, we're only expecting about 1 to 3 inches in these areas. So we're not dealing with a huge flooding risk in one particular area. It's going to be more of just a widespread type of rainfall. It should be decent because we do have some drought issues, some minor drought issues, especially in areas like the Great Lakes and even into the northern plains. So those areas are getting their fair share of some rainfall. And then down into the Tennessee Valley in the southeast, of course, we don't really need rainfall in these areas, but it doesn't hurt to get 1 or 2 inches of rainfall. The higher numbers are going to be further to the south. That's where we might have some flooding issues in those areas. Mostly just a widespread 1/2 inch to 2 inches, and then again pockets of area, some isolated pockets could get maybe 2 to 4 inches, or even upwards of that. So we could even see some higher amounts in some localized areas. If we look at the high temperatures for today, you can see that we're expecting our high temperatures to get up into the mid 80s along the East Coast, and also anywhere that's south of the Great Lakes pretty much is dealing with temperatures that are up near the 80s. So we have fairly warm temperatures, and these are going to be definitely warm enough to support severe weather for today. And if we look at for Monday as well, you can see that we're also dealing with, except for the elevated areas, everywhere else getting into the mid and even upper 80s, and then you get down into the Carolinas and Virginia, maybe even some temperatures approaching 90. A little bit chillier on the back end. For a couple days we will go into a chillier pattern, and then we'll be warmer after that goes by. If you look at the dew points, we have dew points that are all above 70 over this entire area. So definitely dew points are high enough to support the severe weather, and even some dew points getting up near 73 or 74. So those are really high or fairly high for this time of year, and all of that coming together will help these storms intensify just a little bit more. And then looking for Monday in terms of dew points, these are going to actually go up a little bit more, and they're going to be more isolated to areas from the Tennessee Valley eastward, where we have dew points all above 70 and most areas above 72 or 73. So we have a fairly high amount of not only temperatures but also dew points. And then if we look at the Cape values, these are also going to be fairly high. So for Sunday, the Cape values, the convective available potential energy in these areas are approaching near 3,000 to 4,000. So those are fairly high and really high for this area, and that coming together is going to allow these storms to develop quite nicely. Not as high of Cape values along the east coast, although still they are fairly high, near 2,000 to maybe even 3,000 in a few spots. And then if we look at for Monday, you can see that we still have Cape values between about 2,000 and 4,000 in many of these areas along the east coast. So that is going to wrap it up for today's video. Please consider liking the video, subscribing, and turning on notifications, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.